That one.
Wesley chose the good guy, and he wasn't alone.
That one.
Oh.
More than 3/4 of the babies tested reached for the nice puppet.
That one.
Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat. Sir JR po ng Usap Usap University, and we are back at it again sa another episode. Dito po sa U3, ang ating po ginagawa. Tayo po ay nanonood ng mga religious discussions, usually preachings. Pero for this episode, this is actually a short documentary by 60 minutes. Ayan, ano ang topic? Kung ang mga babies ba, tayo ba, human babies, are we naturally born good? Or are we born evil? In short, ano ba yung ating parang natural na predisposition bilang mga human beings? And I remember asking this same question a couple of episodes back, mga ka-U3. Some religions would look at us as naturally evil, hence we need religion, hence we need the guidance of our faith. Pero others are saying that we are naturally good, okay? And then the environment or the nurture and the upbringing would make us evil. So yan po ang ating sasagutin, hopefully po sa documentary na ito. So this is in English, but I'll be giving my reaction, my input po in Filipino. So sa akin pong background bilang isang reactor, ako po ay dating university debater mula po sa MSU-IIT sa loob po ng 3 taon. Ako rin po ay nagdebate sa ABS-CBN News Channel at ako ay member ng isang international public speaking organization, Toastmasters International. Okay, kung ikaw ay baguhan, if you think that our content here is interesting, huwag ka nang mahiya. You can click like or thumbs up dyan, mga ka-U3. It helps us a lot para ma-recommenda yung ating mga U3 videos sa iba pang mga viewers. And of course, you can also click subscribe. Yan po ang ating tuition fees sa ating university. So, ano pang hinihintay natin? Let us watch this video together. Let's go.
It's a question people have asked for as long as there have been people. Are human beings inherently good? Are we born with a sense of morality? Or do we arrive blank slates waiting for the world to teach us right from wrong? Or could it be worse? Do we start out nasty, selfish devils who need our parents, teachers, and religions to whip us into shape? The only way to know for sure, of course, is to ask a baby. But until recently, it's been hard to persuade them to open up and share their secrets. Enter the baby lab.
The story will continue in a moment.
This is the creature at the center of the greatest philosophical, moral, and religious debates about the nature of man, the human baby. They don't do much, can't talk, can't write, can't expound at length about their moral philosophies. But does that mean they don't have one? The philosopher Rousseau considered babies perfect idiots knowing nothing. And Yale psychologist Karen Wynn, director of the Infant Cognition Center here, the Baby Lab, says for most of its history, her field agreed. Didn't we just think that these creatures at 3 months and even 6 months were basically just little blobs?
Oh, sure. I mean, if you look at them, they kind of look like little, cute little blobs, but they can't do all the things that an older child can. They can't even do the things that a dog or a pigeon or a rat can.
No pulling levers for treats or running mazes for these study subjects, but they can watch puppet shows.
Up goes the curtain.
And Wynn is part of a new wave of researchers who have discovered seemingly simple ways to probe what's really going on in those adorable little heads.
Okay, before that, mga ka-U3, I'm just smiling dahil po hindi ako nag-expect na punong-puno pala ito ng kakyutan. Ang cute na mga babies, mga ka-U3. And ako po pala ay ama na po, no, sa isang 4-year-old na cute din na boy. But anyway, mga ka-U3, gusto ko lang po i-mention rito, this documentary, at least sa introduction po, did not fall into the logical fallacy of false dichotomy or the and-or fallacy. So, dun po sa false dichotomy or ano pa, yung isa Isa pang term dyan is the logical fallacy of bifurcation. So, ang ibig sabihin po nun, hindi nila tiningnan at least na black and white lamang. If you notice, that's also how I gave my intro because I was thinking it's either lang good ang mga babies as they are born or bad. Pero sinasabi dito, tatlo, So, the first one, of course, it's either they're born good na meron ng sense of morality, yung mga baby. Number two is yung blank slate. So, nasa gitna, yung kumbaga, kung hindi man black and white, is yung gray area. So, ito naman, ang sinasabi dito na middle part is yung blanco lang talaga. So, number two yun. Or, number three, ang mga babies ba talaga ay born selfish and evil. So, I'm very interested also how they would describe or at least qualify to us anong ibig sabihin ng good, anong ibig sabihin ng bad. At sinasabi rin po sa documentary nito, which I really totally agree. Kasi we need to know yung ating pagiging tao, when we come into this world, ano ba tayo? So sinasabi na it's one of the greatest moral, religious, at saka philosophical na question talaga, na pilit nating sinasagot. And this baby lab, so far na nakikita natin, tries to answer that. Ano ba talaga tayo?
Close the curtain.
We watched as Wynn and her team asked a question that 20 years ago might have gotten her laughed out of her field. Does Wesley here, at the ripe old age of 5 months, know the difference between right and wrong? Wesley watches as the puppet in the center struggles to open up a box with a toy inside. The puppy in the yellow shirt comes over and lends a hand. Then the scene repeats itself, but this time the puppy in the blue shirt comes and slams the box shut. Nice behavior? Mean behavior. At least to our eyes. But is that how a 5-month-old sees it? And does he have a preference?
Leslie, do you remember these guys from the show?
To find out, a researcher who doesn't know which puppet was nice and which was mean offers Wesley a choice.
Who do you like?
He can't answer, but he can reach.
That one.
Wesley chose the good guy, and he wasn't alone.
That one.
Oh!
More than 3/4 of the babies tested reached for the nice puppet.
That one.
Wynn tried it out on even younger babies, 3-month-olds, who can't control their arms enough to reach. But they can vote with their eyes, since research has shown that even very young babies look longer at things they like.
Which one do you like?
Daisy here looked at the mean puppet for 5 seconds, then switched to the nice one for 33.
Babies, even at 3 months, looked towards the nice character and looked hardly at all, much shorter times towards the unhelpful character.
Okay, of course, as it is with a lot of social experiments, mga ka-U3, and development psychology experiments, the question here is, so yun ba ang posible na reason why they look longer sa good na rabbit? Or is it because there is a toy, nakita niyo naman kanina sa experiment, and there is an enabling for the toy to be released from the box? Hindi kaya yun yung kanilang basis? And not because the green one here, if you can see, the one on the left is naging rude sa behavior. So possibly po kasi yun po ang factor bakit mas nagustuhan ng mga babies. Although it's very interesting na 3/4 of those kids that age 5 months kanina is choosing the nice bunny, the nice rabbit. So I find it quite interesting. Pero yun nga, hindi pa kumbaga sa atin pong term po niyan sa experiments at sa diagnosis, hindi pa conclusive po. So let's watch further.
Basically, as young as 3 months old, we human beings show a preference for nice people over mean people.
Study after study after study, the results are always consistently babies feeling positively towards helpful individuals in the world and disapproving, disliking, maybe condemning individuals who are antisocial towards others.
It's astonishing.
Wynn and her team first published their findings about baby morality in the journal Nature in 2007. And they've continued to publish follow-up studies in other peer-reviewed journals ever since.
Interesting.
For instance, on this experiment. They showed babies like James here, a puppet, behaving badly. Instead of rolling the ball back to the puppet in the middle, this green-shirted bunny keeps the other puppet's ball and runs away. Then James is shown a second show. This time, the bunny, who we just saw steal the ball, tries to open up the box to get the toy. Will James still prefer the puppet who helps out, or will he now prefer the one who slams the box shut?
Ang galing nun, ano? Ang galing ng experiment na yun. So, sa another level ng experiment, titingnan kung tutulungan yung bad bunny or not. So, pipiliin pa rin ba ng baby yung bunny this time that helped the bad bunny, or tama lang na wag nang tulungan dahil bad yung bunny na yun na nagtatry na buksan yung box?
He chose the one who slammed it shut, as did 81% of babies tested. The study's conclusion, babies seem to view the ball thief as deserving punishment.
So do you think that babies, therefore, are born with an innate sense of justice?
At a very elemental level, I think so.
We think we see here the foundations for morality.
Wow.
To do the punishment.
Paul Bloom is also a professor of psychology at Yale with his own lab. He's collaborated with Wynne on many of her baby studies, and he also happens to be her husband.
I feel we're making discoveries. I feel like we're discovering that what seems to be one way really isn't. What seems to be an ignorant and unknowing baby is actually a creature with this alarming sophistication, subtle knowledge.
And he says discovering this in babies who can't walk, talk, or even crawl yet suggests it has to come built in.
So remember B.F. Skinner, who said that we had to teach our children everything through conditioning. So does this just wipe him off the map?
What we're finding in the baby lab is that there's more to it than that, that there's a universal moral core that all humans share. The seeds of our understanding of justice, our understanding of right and wrong, are part of our biological nature.
Wait a minute. If babies are born with a basic sense of right and wrong, a universal moral core, where does all the evil in the world come from?
Exactly. That's the nice question there. So, dito na papasok if yung assumption nga natin na born good yung mga babies tayo, no, meron talaga tayong sense ng what is right and what is wrong. So, saan nang galing yung kasamaan? Bakit ang ibang tao way too evil? Or, sabihin na natin sa ating own personal lives, why do we make mistakes? Or why do we become, at least, we make evil things? Ano po? So, tingnan pa po natin.
Is that all learned? Well, maybe not. Take a look at this new series of discoveries in the Yale Baby Lab.
Would you like a snack?
In offering babies the seemingly small, innocuous choice, graham crackers or Cheerios, Wynne is probing something big, the origins of bias, the tendency to prefer others who are similar to ourselves.
Adults will like others who share even really absolutely trivial similarities with them.
So will Nate, who chose Cheerios over graham crackers, prefer this orange cat, who also likes Cheerios, over this gray cat, who likes graham crackers instead?
Which one do you like?
Apparently so.
Remember these guys?
But if babies have positive feelings for the similar puppet, do they actually have negative feelings for the one who's different? To find out, Wynne showed babies the gray cat, the one who liked the opposite food, struggling to open up the box to get a toy. Will Gregory want to see the graham cracker eater treated well? Or does he want him treated badly?
Which one do you like?
Slam.
That one. Okay.
Gregory seemed to want the different puppet treated badly.
That is amazing. So he went with his bias in a way.
And so did Nate.
That one?
And 87% of the other babies tested. From this, Wynne concludes that infants prefer those who harm others who are unlike them.
What could be more arbitrary than whether you like graham crackers or Cheerios?
Nothing.
Nothing. But it matters. It matters to the young baby. We are predisposed to break the world up into different human groups based on the most subtle and seemingly irrelevant cues. And that, to some extent, is the dark side of morality.
We want the other to be punished.
In our studies, babies seem as if they do want the other to be punished.
We used to think that we were taught to hate. I think there was a song like that. This is suggesting that we're not taught to hate. We're born
To hate.
to hate.
I think that we are built at the,
Core.
to at the drop of a hat, create us,
Us and them.
and them.
And that's why we're not that moral. We have an initial moral sense that is in some ways very impressive.
Interesting.
And in some ways really depressing. That we see some of the worst biases in adults reflected in the minds and in the behaviors of young babies.
Oh, exactly. Kasi nga, di ba po, katulad ng nasabi natin kanina, kung sino tayo bilang mga quote-unquote matured na adults, makitrace po natin yan sa ating pong pagkabata, kung gaano tayo bilang babies. At sinasabi nga po rito, parang may catch pala ito mga ka-U3, hindi pala natatapos yung ating, kala ko nasagot na we are naturally good. Pero meron din tayong sense of bias. Sinasabi po na meron tayong predisposition na magkaroon ng bias. We like what is similar to us, me versus them na mentality. So, nagre-reflect na po at least in this particular study. Interesting.
But Bloom says understanding our earliest instincts can help.
If you want to eradicate racism, for instance, you really are going to want to know to what extent are babies little bigots? To what extent is racism a natural part of humanity?
Sounds to me like the experiments show they are little bigots.
I think to some extent a bias to favor the self, where the self could be people who look like me, people who act like me, people with the same taste as me, is a very strong human bias. It is what one would expect from a creature like us who evolved through natural selection, but it has terrible consequences.
Right. Okay. So mga ka-youth, so at least in a way, medyo nalalagay na into the right context. What does it mean to be good? Sa akin po personally, I agree with a discussion by Dennis Prager po dati. I watched it in a video. And he said that we are born evil, and yung kanyang pagbigay ng description dito for being evil is being selfish. Yung pag-preserve ng ating sarili, which would actually make sense. Sabi nga din po dito ng researcher na yung pag-preserve mo sa sarili mo has been an effect of the natural selection po, kung paano tayo nag-evolve as human beings, and kinakailangan mo kasing i-preserve yung sarili mo, and you have to be with the like-minded people, you have to be with the same people para mag-survive for a longer time. And in doing so, it compromises our concept now of morality, dahil nga po may bias na, may yung nga yung term kanina, mga bigots na meron na po tayong particular na hate, and meron tayong particular na preference, and we prefer our own biases.
He says it makes sense that evolution would predispose us to be wary of the other for survival.
Right.
And so we need society and parental nurturing to intervene. He showed us one last series of experiments being done in his lab, not with babies, but with older children of different ages.
Blue.
The kids get to decide how many tokens they'll get versus how many will go to another child they're told will come in later.
I love coins.
They're told the tokens can be traded in for prizes.
So you can say green, and if you say green, then you get this one, and the other girl doesn't get any. Or you can say blue, and if you say blue, then you get these two, and the other girl gets these two. So green.
Green.
The youngest kids in the study will routinely choose to get fewer prizes for themselves
Green.
just to get more than the other kid.
I'll pick green.
In some cases, a lot more.
The youngest children in studies are obsessed with social comparison.
So you get 7, she doesn't get any.
Yay!
They don't care about fairness. What they want is they want relatively more.
But a funny thing happens as kids get older.
Green.
Around 8, they start choosing the equal fair option more and more.
Green.
And by 9 or 10, we saw kids doing something really crazy,
Green.
deliberately giving the other kid more.
Green or blue?
Green.
They become generous. Chalk one up to society.
They've already been educated.
They've been educated, they've been enculturated, they have their heads stuffed full of the virtues that we might want to have their heads stuffed with. culture and education.
So we can learn to temper some of those nasty tendencies we're wired for, the selfishness, the bias. But he says the instinct is still there.
When we have these findings with the kids who choose this and not this,
Who do you like?
the kids in the baby studies who favor the one who's similar to them, the same taste and everything, none of this goes away. I think as adults, we could always see these and kind of nod.
Yeah.
Not do
It's still in us.
It's
We're
still-
fighting it.
And the truth is, when we're under pressure, when life is difficult, we regress to our younger selves, and all of this elaborate stuff we have on top disappears.
But of course, adversity can bring out the best in us too. Heroism, selfless sacrifice for strangers, all of which may have its roots right here.
Great kindness, great altruism, a magnificent sense of impartial justice have their seeds in the baby's mind. Both aspects of us, the good and the bad, are a product, I think, of biological evolution.
So it seems we're left where we all began, with a mix
Of
of
good and bad.
altruism, selfishness, justice, bigotry, kindness. A lot more than any of us expected to discover in a blob.
Well, I end my conversation with you with far more respect for babies. Who knew?
Okay. Oh my. Wow. You know, it's a short documentary. I really preferred sana po mas mahaba po yun, pero it answered a lot. And, well, the conclusion. Humans are born with a sense of justice, pero combined din yan sa pagiging mga bigots. We also have a preference to be with like-minded people as we are, or at least as the baby sees, ano? So hindi nga yun same sa kanya dahil yung sa experiment nga kanina na hindi naman tao yun, stuffed toy nga, ano? Pero dahil nakita niya na gusto nitong stuffed toy na ito, yung gusto niyang pagkain, so yung hindi niya preferred na stuffed toy, okay lang na wag tulungan. Ala. So parang mix nga po. Pero ako po, personally, I feel though, the mas majority ng ating decisions, ng ating tendency bilang mga babies is for self-preservation. And like how I contextualize it dito po sa ating pong reaction video, this is for me, my definition of what not being good is. When you are too selfish, dahil, di ba, you would prefer others to not get a good treatment. You would prefer na ikaw yung uunahin yung sarili mo. So yun po yung ating konteksto po ng pagiging good and bad. So ano pong masasabi niyo sa ating episode ngayon, mga ka-U3? Do you believe in this kind of perspective na yes, we are really good, may sense of morality na tayo at really young ages, actually iba nga 3 months nga sa kanilang baby lab experiments, and it says here na meron tayo din nga parte ng ating sarili being biased towards me versus them. Ano, pag hindi sila ako, kalaban sila. Pag hindi sila tayo, kalaban sila. Or you think, mga ka-U3, na we are naturally good, or sino dito yung team bad? And mga ka-U3, it has also been mentioned na what influences us are two things, ano, at least for this particular experiment: culture and education. So sa kultura, we can add to that, of course, the element of our faith, the element of our religion. So much so that as we grow older, from ages 8, yung preference kanina sa pagpili na bigyan ng marami yung kabila, equal or far more, 8 years old, nagsa-start na. And 9, dito na nagiging mas mapagbigay. Ano ang bata? 9 years old. Very interesting. So, hindi po matatawaran ang epekto po ng pagpapalaki ng magulang. But anyway, mga ka-U3, did you like our episode today? Hindi po ito katulad ng atin pong mga pinapanood dito na religious discussions, pero ito po ay related po sa atin pong mga nabigyan na ng reaction nga patungkol sa morality. Ano? Whether babies are naturally bad, naturally good, and for this episode, baka pwedeng sa gitna, blank slate lang ba tayo? So, if you like our contents, mga ka-U3, please click subscribe dahil po malaking tulong na po yun sa amin. You can also watch this video here and also this playlist here. So, I'll see you guys next time. Peace. Bye-bye. Yan.
Pag nag-square na.
Oh, pwede ka na maging director mo.
So,
Yung mukha ng bata po.
mukha.
Lapit mo yung ano. Yan. Hello, nako. Tingin ka sa video. Oh, ha? Medyo palayo ng konti. Yan, palayo ng konti. Yan.
Para kuha kayo. Dalawa.
Diyos, mainit. Sabi niya, init naman nito. Si daddy na eh.